Biopsychology of Dreams. Dreams have been an important part of my life. Some dreams came as gifts that have given me resilience, or guided me, or helped me to solve difficult problems. I've had dreams that have given me insights into things that I couldn't know otherwise. I've had visitations with family members. I've seen things in faraway places that later turned out to be accurate. And I've met people before actually meeting them. So to me, dreams are a part of my spiritual life, and I consider them to be a mystical phenomenon. But dreams are also a biological phenomenon and a psychological phenomenon. Happily, in studying this topic, I've learned a lot about the neurological mechanisms and psychological significance of dreams. However, researchers frankly acknowledge that there remains a great deal that we do not know, and further study is warranted. I'll start with some historical research on dreams. In the 1920s and 30s, Hans Berger, the inventor of the EEG, discovered distinct sleep stages by observing and classifying different brain waves. The scientific study of dreams began in 1953 with Aserinsky and Kleitman's discovery of periods of rapid eye movements during sleep. They called it paradoxical sleep because the person's brain waves resemble that of someone who's awake, even though they're fast asleep and most of their muscles are paralyzed. In the 1990s, more detailed neuroimaging studies then revealed that during REM, there is increased blood flow to structures in the limbic system, such as the hippocampus and amygdala, and reduced blood flow in the prefrontal cortex and parietal lobe. This logically explains why dreams often feel emotional and illogical. During dreaming, the brain releases the neurotransmitters GABA and glycine, which cause muscle atonia, the paralysis, and a lack of bodily sensation. It is thought that this adaptation protects the body from spontaneously acting out dream content in a way that would lead to injury. Our current understanding is as follows. During REM, the hippocampus, which is involved in memory processing, and the amygdala, which is involved in emotion, are active, as we've seen. But the prefrontal cortex also shows reduced but distinct activity, showing that REM sleep serves an important function in memory processing. It was once thought that dreaming only occurs during REM, but it is now known that dreams occur during non-REM sleep, or NREM sleep, stages as well. Sleep cycles alternate between NREM and REM roughly every 90 minutes, and thus it is possible to experience dreams during any time during the night. The main signal that someone is dreaming during slow wave sleep are spikes of high frequency activity in posterior cortical regions. Dreams appear to have adaptive utility. Recent research suggests that dreaming may help us regulate emotions and prepare us for challenges by simulating threatening situations. In short, dreams appear to serve important adaptive functions. They are not just random mental noise. The psychological perspective. So, dreams have fascinated psychologists since the very early days of the discipline. Sigmund Freud saw dreams as a reflection of the unconscious and a disguised form of wish fulfillment. Over the next several decades, Jung interpreted dreams as a gateway to the collective unconscious, the universal broth of collective symbols and archetypes. Dream analysis was a pathway to self-understanding. After Jung, the behaviorist and cognitive movements in psychology basically killed any interest in dreams for quite a long time. Older theories looked at dreams in terms of their meaning. In contrast, current psychology tends to favor an evidence-based biopsychosocial model, and dreams are viewed in terms of their function. For example, it is broadly accepted that dreams function as memory processing. Relevant emotional experiential memories are sorted and stored, and irrelevant data is discarded. Patterns are recognized and turned into rules that guide future behavior and decision making. In clinical psychology, nightmares are seen as ambiguous in meaning. As Nelson and Levin write, dreams could either indicate positive mental processes such as image contextualization, affect desomatization, mood regulation, or fear extinction, an emotionally adaptive function, or, conversely, as evidence of emotional breakdown. This functional view also shows up in practice in modern psychotherapies. Interestingly, lucid dreaming is being explored as a therapeutic tool to help individuals control nightmares, improve emotional well being, and reinforce their autonomy. Integrative psychotherapies use dream work to assist clients with PTSD to process their traumatic memories. In mindfulness-based psychotherapy, dream work assists clients to gain insight, self-awareness, and personal growth. Even the ultra-mainstream conservative cognitive behavioral therapy can include dream work. It doesn't look at dreams to explore latent meaning. To quote Carcione et al., dreams reflect a patient's view of self, world, and future, and are subject to the same cognitive biases as the waking state. In other words, dreams can directly reveal a client's maladaptive thought patterns. In summary, there is a resurgence in dream work in modern psychotherapy. Turning now to the spiritual significance of dreams and my own worldview, dreams are not only a biological and psychological phenomena, they touch on spiritual traditions. In Judeo-Christian and Islamic traditions, dreams are considered a source of valid communication, conveying divine messages or warnings. Indigenous traditions around the world regard dreams as a part of spiritual life. In my religion, the Baha'i Faith, the biological aspect of dreams is acknowledged, but many explicit and authoritative passages from the Holy Scriptures also affirm a link between the soul and dreams. So, what is the Baha'i perspective? Dreams are a phenomenon created by God. Through dreams, the soul can access wisdom and discover mysteries and roam freely across time or space. Baha'u'llah wrote, "These gifts have been given so that no one will have any doubt as to the existence of spiritual realms or the life of the soul beyond death. The soul experiences physical reality through the mind and expresses itself through the mind, but exists in a world independent of the body or its senses. The soul is always in motion and does not sleep. Through dreams, it can, quote, unravel an intricate problem, incapable of solution in the waking state." So, how do we integrate the spiritual and biopsychosocial views? First, God has endowed us with reason, and clearly two contradictory ideas cannot both be true. Therefore, a fundamental principle of the Baha'i teachings is that science and religion must be in agreement. The current biopsychological position is that our mind is, at its core, mechanical. Every thought depends on a physical change. No thought or dream can occur without observable electrochemical effects within neurons of the brain. Researchers admit, however, that there is still much that is not understood. The Baha'i view is that the whole material existence exists within and is dependent on the spiritual world. The soul exists independently of the body, which implies a form of experience or consciousness that does not depend on electrochemical activity in the brain. We feel it, we experience it as meaningful, but we can't point to it and measure it with an instrument. I find that these scientific and spiritual understandings are complementary rather than contradictory, and to me, there's a breathtaking beauty in both approaches. So here are some directions for future research. According to Domhoff, neuroimaging during sleep is still an imprecise science. It's difficult, for example, to correlate dream content with specific neurophysiology, since dream interpretation and content are profoundly influenced by social factors such as culture, gender, and race. Further, Domhoff writes that 70 to 80% of dreams are dramatized reenactments of significant waking personal concerns. So, what of the other 20 to 30%? If we only knew where 70% of our body's energy came from and 30% of our energy came from a mysterious source, that would be considered a pretty huge gap. So clearly more dream research is warranted. In light of these questions, some researchers have advocated for the reintegration of psychoanalytical perspectives in dream research, stating that the concept of personal meaning, the concept of unconscious episodic memory, and the subject's history are not addressed or considered in cognitive neuroscience. Meanwhile, some researchers are exploring the use of AI to decode dream content from brain activity. This, of course, raises ethical questions about privacy. So here's something I'd personally like to research, and it's basically a therapeutic intervention about dreams. So I found it useful with clients to ask, the events that you describe and the interactions you have with other people, what would these mean if they were a dream? And this lets them do two things. First, it lets them realize how much they are the author of their situation. Second, it lets them look at their situation in a different way. It appreciates the rich symbolic content of life, because in a dream, everything means something. So it helps them to understand the hidden patterns and hidden meanings in everyday interactions. It's a way of acknowledging the spiritual existence we are having in the material world. Similarly, people often dismiss their dreams as random, abstract, meaningless. So I ask clients, if everything in that dream happened in real life, what would it mean and how would you feel about it? And usually the meaning becomes instantly clear. This reframing exercise allows clients to stop and take notice of what their own subconscious is trying to tell them about what's going on. It basically helps them gain clarity about what they are feeling and what they are going through at that moment in their life. So I would love a chance to research the effectiveness of this sort of therapeutic intervention. To conclude, research has completely surpassed Freud and Jung's untestable hypotheses. The biopsychosocial lens has given us a degree of certainty about the adaptive functions of dreams in emotional processing, memory, and behavior. Still, dreams touch on qualitative dimensions of human creativity, culture, and meaning, and are thus related to mental health and spirituality. As Vincent van Gogh wrote, I dream my paintings and I paint my dream. And here are some references.